So I thought I would do another video on what is doing well on August 12th. This is a little bit since I did my last video. These planters that I put together are doing really well. I think it's really won me over to annuals, I would say. So these ones I just put in probably a couple of weeks ago. So there's a Bishop's Children dahlia from seed. These are all really late being planted up, and then a lot of lobelia from botanical interest, which you can see spilling out of these pots. Some of the Bishop's Children are a little bit farther along. Everyone that had tubers seems to be about this far. And so I'm quite behind, but I have hope that, sorry, just getting weeds at the same time. I have hope that before the frosts I will get some blooms from these. And so we have a lot of these because I kept taking cuttings as well from the ones that I had grown as I did, as I pinched them out. So this is exciting. Here's one that's coming along. I don't know what that will look like. It's very exciting. I'm not actually sure that's a Bishop's Children dahlia. That might be, it could be unwinds, it could be watercolor silks. I did not realize coleus would get this big. These look really nice. Definitely going to do these again, probably in some different configurations next year. Some of my Love Lies Bleeding has budded up, ones that didn't get eaten. And some pretty little spillers. Some feverfew that I just transplanted from the lawn that I had self-seeded. A lot of ageratum. And what's funny about this is that they do really put themselves to sleep at night. They have stiff stems right now, and then they kind of just fall over when it gets dark out. I have some cosmos starting to bloom. I collected this seed from a garden that we liked to go to last fall. Some calendula. This is so pretty. Needs to be deadheaded though. You can see there are a lot of spent blooms. And here are some more Bishop's Children dahlia. I'm not really sure. I'm not an expert on dahlia, why or what this would be. Why some of the leaves tend to shrivel. Sometimes they look like they're a little shriveled coming out, but they're just kind of like ruffled. But this one actually looks kind of shriveled, so I'm not really sure what that is. Peonies not looking so great anymore, but those will be planted out this fall. I think that the more attractive hydrangea cuttings that I've rooted, I will up-pot because they are actually, or they were, rooting into the driveway. So, you know, because they're starting to show signs of some stress. So some of these that are just, you know, that have a nice shape, I think I will up-pot those today because I just mixed up some new compost. Or potting soil with compost. These I separated from one pot, or sorry, 2 pots. They're looking pretty good. You can see how they were just rooting by themselves at the base. So that's when I thought that they would do a good job. These are some insurance seeds in case other things die. These I'm very excited about. These are my seedlings that I have grown, collected off the hollyhock in the back. That is from Appledore Island, supposedly from Celia Thatcher's garden. I think I'm going to prick these out and pot them up today. I have a couple types of penstemon growing here. This one is Husker's Red, And though it does not have, well, it has a couple sets of leaves. I think I will prick those out. I need to look up what Veronicas look like as seedlings. I'm pretty sure that these are Veronicas. Most of these packets didn't have a ton of seeds in each one, so what's funny is that the fig leaf hollyhocks that I bought have not come up, or bought the seeds for. One of them did, I think, try to come up, but it's immediately died. Here's some more Veronica. Not a lot of germination on this one yet. This is Mystica penstemon. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 coming up, or 12. I think there were only 20 seeds in this packet, so it's pretty good. This is funny, this gold dust alyssum is not coming up for me. That's supposed to be the perennial alyssum. I have some Shasta Daisy Silver Princess I'm doing again. And some Irish Silk. That's definitely the hyssop. Not very good germination on this. 1, 2, 3. I mean, I think that there were very few seeds in this packet, really, from Baker Creek. Like I said in the last video, a lot of it was chaff. Something came along and ate all of these seedlings that were ready to plant out. I think that they were marigolds? Not sure. Some Signet marigolds. Some calendula with a weed in them. I think I'm going to plant these out today as well, as if I can get to it. These are all just insurance annuals in case things get eaten. We had a stroke of bad luck with some storms this weekend that killed a couple of my larger plants. Here's some red velvet coleus, which I'm excited about putting out for fall. And this is the Bleeding Hearts Heliopsis. So these are getting pretty big. Very excited about them. And again, like 2 had germinated that then didn't make it in the pots. So that's not too bad. I think I'll do some more of these winter sowing. You see how it has such a nice foliage color. Very excited to see what those will look like next year. Everything looking a little bit raggedy because it's that time in the year. Well, I did take the time to pot up all of these oak leaf hydrangeas. And look at the great colors on them. They just look very autumnal. And I think that what I'll do is pick the ones that have the best color, really, and try to focus on them. But I mean, I'll try to overwinter all of them. I'm not really sure if the stems, maybe some of the larger ones, are getting a little bit woody, which makes me hope that they'll overwinter. I'm going to give them some fertilizer today. My black-eyed Susans, which are, I wish you could feel these. They're so tough. And I think that's why they don't get eaten, like sandpaper. But it's a very reliable type of black-eyed Susan in the garden here. I did clean up these columbines since the last time, cut off all the ones with the borer damage, the leaves with the borer damage. So they look a little bit happier. Not sure, most of them. Some of them have some new growth. A lot of them don't, though. I think I also need to clean up these Jacob's Ladder because they do have new growth at the base and they're just looking rather sad. I picked up this giant mega, I mean, you can't really see how big it is, this mega heuchera at a plant sale the other weekend. I'm gathering some seeds just to see, hopefully, like what it might do. 'Cause on my list of things to winter sow this year, just a lot of heuchera. These bleeding hearts are going over. They looked so beautiful last time we did the tour, but this is what bleeding hearts do. They go dormant, and so I did refresh the plant tag on these ones so that I'll be able to know what they are, even if there aren't any plants left visible when I finally plant them in the garden. Some more weeds, some foxgloves. These are pearl feverfew, like a pearl type that I had just put clumps of in the front, and they got eaten by slugs, so I've brought them back to rehabilitate them in the driveway. Just a lot of plants in each one of those. But the Invincible Spirit 2 hydrangeas that I bought online are looking pretty good. They had a lot of borer damage. I did cut them down, and I don't know if they came with the borers because should have inspected them a little bit more closely, but the borers definitely showed up for the cut stems, and so let's just see. Yeah, so this one, you can see I sealed it with nail polish. That'll come into focus, and looking a little bit better. So one thing that I did since the last video is I did cut back most of these Chinese lantern stalks and bring them inside. You can see the foliage is not attractive, and I do have them in this pot because they are invasive, but it looks like these other ones that I left, most of them are ready to cut. That rose is looking a lot better. This Pyrrhus is not. A couple of just sections of Philadelphias there. So, looking at the garden, this is kind of a messy garden, but that's how I like it. Here is a planter with a couple of seed dahlias. So these are also Bishop's Children. These are some of my larger ones that I potted up initially. There are a few buds here and here. One that's coming there. So we do have to go on vacation to visit my parents soon, and I'm really concerned because this pot is not very big. It has lemon balm in it, which was not a very good idea to put in with the I didn't put it in with the dahlias. I actually put the dahlias in with the lemon balm, but yeah, it runs out of water very quickly, and so hopefully it'll survive. Here's a little dahlia. I found that these are the same age practically, if I don't pot them up, they will really stay the size, but within a week or two, this one will get really big, so I'll have to update on that one. This is my little patch that I have been growing purple bell vine on. I just cut back some of this coleus because it had gotten really big, and it was really shading some of my vines here, but you can see the purple bell vine is looking really nice. Of course, everything is pretty slow because it was all from seed just this year, and I don't have a greenhouse or a cold frame. I do want to get a cold frame. So here is a climbing rose. We just got this one on clearance this year. This is Tess de Ubervilles. I want to smell it. So these are not as fragrant as some roses, but it is just their first year in the garden. I have been training it. You can see it looks a little tortured, and Stephen thought that perhaps we shouldn't do any of the training at first, but really the leaves eventually come around to the sun and it looks right again once you bend it in a certain direction. But I also have a little bit of purple bell vine growing up this. You can see that it looks very cheery at this time of year. I also have some ageratum. Actually, ageratum everywhere, so some is not quite the right word. Most of it isn't blooming. Here's a datura. And this is one of the happier ones, but it almost looks like where there would be buds, it almost looks like it's been eaten. But I'm sure that it will bud up at some point. I do have a lot with buds, but I think that this purple ballerina variety doesn't quite have the same growth progression as the one that I grew last year. So here's another dahlia, some mahogany splendor hibiscus that I cut a little bit from to help a branch like this nice one. So this year I basically made this little bed and the one I just showed you with the purple bell vine. So they need to be improved, all of this grass. We're hoping to improve in the fall. I have not done very much with this bed. It's a bit of a mess. It looked really nice. This was all feverfew that was blooming. I have a little seed dahlia. I don't know why all of my dahlias, the small ones anyways, are yellow so far. I think that the packet from Renee's, the one that I got, must have been from mostly one head of a yellow flower, I'm guessing. These are some Royal Bride snapdragons. I did not separate them properly, like people who are cut flower growers. So they basically kind of look just like my regular garden snapdragons, and not those really tall, nice stems like you usually see. You see, that's my problem. Some Verbena bonariensis. This is a really hard place to get anything to grow in. I mean, I just have a lot of shade and kind of terrible soil right now here. I've realized that my garden does not want mulch. So this fall I will be scraping all the mulch off of the beds and then adding a layer of compost from a horse farm that we found. There are some buds here on another small dahlia. They look yellow, surprise, surprise. This area looked really good before the storm that I was talking about. You can see that my husband did some staking for me. He is the best. It was emergency staking. This needs to be cut, but it did keep this tithonia from completely eaten. What is it? Biting the dust. So I need to do something with this to make it look a little bit better. I think that they'll grow in again, but I just need to kind of change the staking around because it looks a little bit bad. This is a berry white hydrangea. I just planted this last fall, and there's a tithonia growing through it. All of those hostas I transplanted there last year, and they were completely skeletonized by Japanese beetles and slugs, and they look totally fine. I find them very difficult to kill. I will throw them down the slope down there behind our house, and they live. So the star of the show, obviously, right now is these black-eyed Susans. And I really love how they look with the mahogany splendor hibiscus, which I did sprinkle between these incredible hydrangeas. Cut it down. It's like right there. I cut that down to try to get it to branch because I actually hadn't pruned the ones that were in between. My American Dream Coreopsis. You can see a couple little flowers there. That was from seed last year. You can see it's very airy and there are a lot of weeds in between it, but it did bloom. I have a bunch of calendula, which I need to keep on top of deadheading. I would say our main challenge in this garden is just not a lot of sunlight. So I would recommend ageratum for people with not a lot of sun, because they've typically done pretty well. Like, you can see how rangy these calendula are, because they don't get sun. I threw a dahlia here, cut off the tops hoping it would make it, but it does not look happy. Oh well. Some hardy plumbago, just having a little moment there, and you can see some anemone through in the middle. That's the pink. My roses were trying to have a second flush at this point in the year, but at least the middle ones, which is Garden Party, and this one is Touch of Class. The Garden Party were not happy this year. They got really eaten by the lace, the lace bug or slug or rose slug, whatever you want to call it. Ugh, I just got distracted by a very big weed. So it's trying. I think it'll come back next year. Those need to be deadheaded though. You can see that I let, that's what happens if you let your English daisies go to seed. It's like they've really outcompeted a lot of the weeds, although I have weeded in here. You can see I just have lots of lupin, there's some columbine. This datura is looking pretty good. It actually has a bunch of buds. Can get it to focus. I don't know if it will, but it's beautiful. And one of the reasons why I plant these, I know people have bad, opinions of them, but they are the most beautiful smell, I think, in the garden when they're blooming. And I spend so much time potting up out here, and when one of these opens, it's just like the most amazing smell you've ever smelled. I don't really know what to compare it to. I don't grow lilies. I wonder if maybe they're a similar fragrance. But I wouldn't know because I don't grow them. I would like to in the future, I think. There's another weed. I'd like to in the future, but we do suffer from red lily beetle here. So there is some annual verbena that is blooming. I don't think I will grow this again. I just grew it from seed, threw them in here. You can see our main weeds are these violets and this sorrel, neither of which are really bad weeds to have. The violets I actually really like in the springtime, but they are very aggressive. I think that they're native plants here. And they do actually spawn or have seeds underground, which makes them quite aggressive. So here's some more white verbena in the bud stage. I do really like this calamintha. I grew this from seed, the white and the blue. And this was so easy, and I know they say this about catmint, but this was so easy to propagate. Every time I pinched the plants, because otherwise they'll just grow one long stem, every time I pinch them, I just put them in a pot, the little pinchings in a pot, and they all rooted. Here's a bumblebee on the calamintha. Anyways, here's a seed dahlia. As you can see, my Renee's garden seeds are mostly yellow. These are the watercolor silks again. And I think one thing that I learned is just up-potting these to a larger pot. If I have the soil and the space and the pots, just really works out well. I'm not sure I will grow these miniature varieties unless they really wow me more though, because I found that the Bishop's Children ones with their dark stems really were much hardier against the pests that we have here. All of these, and I think this is a Goldstrom variety of black-eyed Susans. We got these as divisions from a woman who was thinning her garden, her more mature garden, which I'm so grateful for. Her name was Jackie, and she said that she does it because she turns around and she takes the money, and she didn't charge very much at all to go buy more plants, which I totally sympathize with. So here's some of those frilly anemones that we were seeing. Look at how many buds are on this. I misjudged just how big these would get. They're much smaller than I thought. I mean, I should have known because I was planting them, but I guess I didn't realize how big the other plants in my garden would be this year. So I think they'll need to be moved. Here's another. This is like a thorny. I'm a little worried about pulling this. I don't know what that is. Hopefully it's not poison ivy. I think I'll realize pretty soon if it is. You can see one of the reasons why I grow the datura is this usually doesn't happen. Can you believe this? So it does still have some little buds on it. You can see them there, but getting totally eaten in here. There's a little dahlia there. And this rose, sorry, not in focus. This rose is not happy. And here is, this was a really magnificent hollyhock this year. That's where those seeds came from that I showed you in the driveway. One of my tasks today is to cut this down. And the Dollar Tree waste paper basket around it is because we have a groundhog that ate this to the ground literally every 2 weeks last year. And that did keep him away from it, but you see he's eaten all of the new leaves that the poor plant put up. So I don't know if it'll come back. Here is another dahlia. Not even sure where it's planted. Oh, it's coming around here. Wow. A blue steel sea holly. These are all staked because they don't really get very much sun here. I had a lot more back here, but a bunch of the stems just, I am stepping on so many things. Do you see all of this ground cover here? These are all foxglove seedlings. I told my husband that he could sprinkle them everywhere, and he really went to town, and I'm not mad about it. Oh, here's a little dahlia. I wish we had more sun. So these phlox, you can tell everything's really eaten back here. These phlox, I cut halfway back. I did like a Chelsea chop on them. You can tell that they did not appreciate that. I will not be doing that next year. It basically seemed to have like given off some sort of hormone to the slugs and the Japanese beetles, and it said like, come and destroy this plant, it's already weak. So I'm not going to do that next year. What I will do next year though is cut down all my foxgloves as soon as they're over, because I've had such luck with them reblooming. You can tell this like monster plant. This is all one foxglove, and it has some buds on it, and they do get smaller with each successive bloom, but look at this poor thing, this poor dahlia. I don't even know. Oh, it's very tortured. I thought this was really cute. This is, I think, a stunted purple echinacea. But like, this is what they should look like. I don't know. It's a lot of stem for not a lot of flower, but it is very cute. So clearly I need to deadhead some stuff here. Oh no, this rose is not looking happy. This is another David Austin rose. This is Gabrielle Oak. I tried to clean it up last time I was in here, but it does not look very good. I think that there's not a lot of air circulation, and it's not getting a lot of sun. Oh gosh, I'm getting stuck in a spider web. Try to see if we can get out. These are my asters. I think they're like New England asters of some type, so perennial aster. They're gonna be budding up soon. And these are all, these little ones that are blooming are little lime lights. Those are the Incredibles. And for reference, I did start this garden last year, so you'll have to forgive me if it's kind of messy, not really done. These are little lime. Actually, I think this is a little lime. Back there are some berry whites. Berry whites. Oh, and a couple of reblooming foxgloves. Now, this is where my honesty was, this big hole. And off of about 8 plants, I did collect honesty, like to fill all of my large vases in the house. I would highly recommend growing that. It bloomed from April to May, and it had just shocking purple flowers. Very cottagey. And it really wasn't that hard to shuck all of the little money discs to get that pearlescent disc. I didn't realize you had to do that until I actually grew them myself. But I was testing to see how much sun I actually get in this bed by putting these mahogany splendor hibiscus. Now these ones have been planted a while after that one. These ones I just threw in, I think, last week. You can see that there are a lot of foxgloves still coming up. There's some anemones. I have some snapdragons here. I think I'm going to be redoing this bed completely. Oh my. Oh, this is, what is it called? Bowman's root. I did buy this at a plant sale, and then you see where I cut it. I thought I could root it, but as you can see, it was hollow when I cut it, and doesn't really seem to have appreciated my intervention. So I'll just leave it alone next year. More likely, I feel like a tip cutting there, like that might root better. But a datura back here, because I did find that they like the shade in my garden. It's not a very hot garden. Ooh. Oh my goodness, people, look at this. The spider's web. I almost just like caught myself in it. Do you see him? I'm gonna leave him for now because it's pretty impressive. But I was excited about these anemones. They're a little taller. I think these would be white. They're not that famous Honoré Gilbert type, but I think this is looking pretty. I'm going to be so much more aggressive though, cutting back my foxgloves next year. This is kind of a mess. One of our challenges, we have so much shade, so look at this old copper beech tree. It's absolutely beautiful, but it does cast quite a lot of shade. And then there's a little sapling right there that I'm going to see if I can transplant, because nothing will grow from here to here almost, except for spring bulbs. So this is all a lot of columbine that I grew from seed last year. It did not bloom this year. You can see it still has all of the borer damage. And I should probably cut it back. It's another big weed. There's a fair amount of geraniums. Oh gosh, look at all of these foxgloves. This is going to be really amusing. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to thin them, so we'll just see what they do on their own. But I have a lot of geraniums here. And last year I just got a pot that was pretty full. I'm just gonna pull some of these weeds while I'm talking about this. A pot that was pretty full from a nursery in the fall, and I just tore it apart and got a ton of plants out of it. Now most of them are quite small. It's gonna take a little while for them to really mature and fill in the space, but I think that they will eventually, if they're not overcome with, that is a geranium, this is not, they're not overcome by the foxgloves, I suppose. But this is the condition of a shade garden. When you have too much garden and you don't weed very much. I don't know what these are. So we do have snake root. I think some of it might be snake root. There's a little feverfew that's self-seeded over here. I want to have a lot more feverfew next year. It did very well here. Get rid of some of these. But you always wish that plants that you wanted could do that well where you put them. Some little violas. Jacob's ladder, that also needs a haircut. But this is, you can see some more dahlias here that are not blooming quite yet. I think they're looking a little bit better. I've been trying to spray them with a molasses mixture that I saw being used and recommended by Microflower Farm. I think it's 2 tablespoons of unsulfured molasses to 1 gallon of water. And I think it does help a little bit. I mean, the new growth is not being eaten as much, so I just need to keep up with that after it rains. But this is what happens when you have too much shade. This is a cygnet marigold. I think it should be about that tall, but it's just stretching for the sun. These blue calamintha. And I think because this is just year 2 of this garden, that I'm figuring out what works well in it and what doesn't. And in the future I'll have maybe more simple plantings that are more harmonious. Now this is a weed that really likes to get everywhere. Here's some more datura. Very excited about some buds on these. Some purple ballerina datura. I have not seen these bloom yet. I'm very excited about them. But, some of them end up like this too. It's very sad. Some peonies. These were roots, like bare roots, like really discount ones that I thought were complete goners. And I think I dug them up when I was redoing the beds last fall. And they had one little string, teeny tiny little string of root on them, and so I put them here. I have forgotten what they are. I don't expect them to bloom for years. I don't know if they get any sun here, so low expectations on those. I don't even know why I'm growing peonies, to be honest with you. I don't know where I'll put them that gets enough sun. Anyways. So that's kind of the main, what I call the lilac bed, because that's all lilacs here. And in the spring, oh, this looks so good. Because we have daffodils just everywhere, which I planted for the wedding. I need to cut back that hollyhock. And so this area, I think we're going to be doing a gravel path here. Because as you see, we have some gravel for drainage and tiles by the house. Nothing will grow here. I've tried grass so many times, and basically nothing will grow here either. You see the dappled shade. This is as much sun as it gets all day, actually. This is the sunny time of the garden for this part of the garden. So I'm thinking a path here with some good edging, and then I'd like to kind of do a circle here to give it a little bit of formality, so I'd be changing the contour of that bed. And unfortunately, I think we probably need to take out that sapling before it overwhelms the garden. Now, these kind of sad looking large shrubs, and I think I'm going to give them a drink today, but we got these for free. They're a lot bigger than they look. We transplanted them just like a couple months ago. This one's looking the happiest. So we transplanted them just like a month or so ago, and I'm hoping that they make it through the winter. This one is easily, I think, 8 feet high. So here's another garden. This is the youngest garden. I call that the Japanese maple bed. So a lot of this is just like my love of propagation, and things don't necessarily like look the greatest, but this is an endless summer hydrangea that my mother-in-law gave me, and for whatever reason I decided to literally cut it in half with my shovel. Part of it died here, but you can see that a lot of it is alive, so now I have 2 endless summer hydrangeas. So this is Steven's garden. It's very shady. We bought this oak leaf hydrangea, which I'm kind of laughing about because we spent $30 on this, and those ones I have in the driveway will look like this next year. But this is a Gatsby Moon hydrangea. To be fair, I don't know what the other ones are going to be called. It's very tiny, but it will get big. Lots of foxglove, lots of slug damage. Some severely abused heuchera that I divided and propagated in the driveway is putting up some new foliage. Now this lady's mantle, oh gosh, it's not even here anymore. I propagated this and it looks pretty dead. I will say I love the idea of lady's mantle. My mom has it in her garden, but it doesn't seem to like our garden conditions. This columbine I think needs to be cut back. It's on my list of things to do, is just cutting everything back. Now, this is a thalictrum. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Oh, it's so pretty. I tried to grow this from seed a couple times. Let's see if I can get it to focus. But it would not grow from seed for me, so Stephen bought me these from a nursery. There's a little propagated bleeding heart in the wild. This was from a cutting last year, and it overwintered, and I placed it here. I can tell you have to be very patient doing things this way. Ooh, this datura has a really good bud on it. I would say that that's like 1 or 2 weeks away from blooming. This yarrow is not happy here. We have really damp, really rich soil, and you can tell because it got staked up. It needs to be cut down. There is a limelight which flopped everywhere because we had those bad rains. I mean, they're good rains, right? Like having rain. So we need the moisture, but definitely did flop. So this one I bought not last fall, but the fall before I actually had this garden made at all. And I have been trying to prune it properly to give it some strength. Now this is a Shasta daisy, and I think Stephen must have come through either that or it's the slugs and trim this down. I think they all need to be trimmed down like this because you see they're looking pretty raggedy, to let the new growth come through. You can see some new growth on these heuchera. This is a sedum, dark sedum that I propagated from one plant. It's kind of spread around. And there's a pieris there. And I think that's an azalea there. I don't know what happened, but my snapdragons here are looking pretty dead. I might need to, let's get this little tug. Look at this. Just pulled all the way out. I don't know what that is. I guess, you know, they do tell you, and look, it had some new buds on it too. If I can get it to be in focus. It had buds on it. I guess what they say is that plants do just die sometimes, but you can see some of the ones around it are not dead. So I don't know if I over-fertilized this. This is, what is it? Malden Woods from David Austin, which you can see is happier here. It does get a little more sun. Like, look at this cane. Well, clearly I've made my lens a little bit too dirty, but this one, I do really love how these look. They're very dark, almost maroon red. There's a lot of ageratum sprinkled in here. This was a hole I was trying to fill, and it does look filled. I will be fair to it in that respect. I have some Tithonia. I think I'm going to be grabbing some of these and transplanting them to the driveway strip to replace the ones that died. Look at these big flowers on the limelights. Oh, they're so pretty. But some more Tithonia. And then over here, I'll show you a little bit later, but I thought I'd collected some seeds that I thought were beard tongue last fall. I'll just show you the limelight while I say this. And at some point during the growing season so far, I just like lost track of them. I thought maybe they'd been eaten, maybe I'd gotten rid of the plant pots, the tags had faded, and so I was just like, I guess they're gone. Anyway, so planted out my annuals, and it turns out what I thought were Tithonia, because I wasn't really paying attention, I suppose this doesn't reflect well on me, it was actually African foxglove. So that's what's growing there, and there's some blooming along here, which I'll show you, but more amaranth. This is scabiosa. This was one of the only perennials that I grew last year that, you know, overwintered, and that's not doing well. It's basically this and lavender. Ironically, some lavender right here. But it does not like my conditions, which are shady and wet. You know, you want lavender, but it does smell really nice. But, you know, you don't really have the conditions for lavender. So I grew so much from seed, I'm hoping to give it away to my mother-in-law, because she has a house. I think that would do well with some lavender. This is Claire Austin, which is a climbing rose. Little purple bell vine coming up around it. And I think that's Quickfire behind it. Honestly, Quickfire looked terrible the first year it was growing here, and it looks a lot better this year. Here is some of that African violet, which is quite a pretty plant, I think. I don't know if I would collect the seed and grow it again. Maybe if it impresses me a little later. Lots of echinacea. Now I had some white swan echinacea over here that I really liked the look of. And I'm hoping Stephen didn't deadhead it, just so I can save the seeds from that particular one. What is this? Does not look like something I want. But you can see I've really spotted Tithonia everywhere. Not going for perfection. See, I'll finish that in a second, but I have a couple little datura here. This is a very low sun area, and my failed attempt at lupin over there. That is its second year. Put on a lot of foliage but no flowers. I think I'm probably going to give up on it. Snapdragon is just really not looking very good. I guess they just don't like the heat of summer, right? But they were looking good for a while. A still bee, that actually I got bare root from Costco, and I planted it too deep and it was just fine for the most part. some feverfew. This got eaten to the ground last year. There's a little, I think this is the historic mix. Let's see if I can get it to focus. The historic mix from Select Seeds, which is very pretty. Of course, this is why you cut back your violas. It's just a mess at this point in the year. This is a Japanese maple. I planted this the first summer that we moved in, and it's taller than me now. I think that someone says the best time to plant a tree is yesterday, so that was my idea with planting that right away. Some sedum in almost full shade. This was here when we moved here, this type. I've just been dividing it and moving it around since. Ooh, there's some really nice buds on this datura here. Look at that. And also some nice blooms on this, these snapdragons. Aren't those pretty? These are just, these are botanical interests. I think they're called the tall snapdragons there. Boop, boop. A lot of really beautiful flowers on these in the spring. Not so much now, but these ones look a lot happier than the ones over there. I did cut them all back, at least once. I have a lot of mountain laurel here. And let's see. Here is some heuchera from seed. These were from my winter sowing containers. This is, I mean, just look at that. Clearly it's very happy here. I threw them in here along with a little bit of vinca. I know it's invasive, but I think it will be well contained here, and I really need some ground cover. And these are bobos. Bought these on sale in the last video that I did. And the Pinky Winky. They're making it through the heat of the summer. They're not super happy, but oh, these heuchera. I'm very excited to do more from seed next year. Lots of weeds. Okay, here's that part of the garden from this side. Some more blue steel holly. That's some of the kind of more annual transient rudbeckia. Those looked so sad last year. They still look a little bit sad. Look how tall they are. But they actually bloomed this year, and they're way bigger than they were last year. Some African foxgloves blooming out of the rhododendrons back there. Some more of this calamintha. Oh, here are the white swan echinacea that I thought were worth saving seed from. They're kind of over now, but I thought this was really nice, and it was compact as a plant. And I'd like to try to get as many compact plants as I can, because they don't end up compact in my garden. This one actually has a split middle, which is kind of interesting. Hard to tell without the petals, but the middle is split down the center. Oh wow, look at. Well, I was going to finish saying I want a lot of compact varieties because they end up stretching a lot in my shade garden, and it means that they end up being just an average size. Look at this. This azalea is very confused. It wants to bloom again. Hopefully that's not too much stress. Some cosmos. Some more white swan echinacea. And Tithonia, filling in some gaps. A couple more datura. Very excited about these. Nothing was growing up here. I mean, look at this. This is white lavender. And you'd think it would like this dry area, but it doesn't get enough sun. This I started from seed last year, and it should be, you know, that's snow and summer I started from seed last year. If things are happy, they do really grow, but I mean, I can see the things that do well and that don't do well, and that's what I'll be planting again. But look at that. Look at that bud. Oh, it's gonna, like, the whole neighborhood's going to smell good when these start blooming. So I do have some little planting areas up in the front, but there are people up there, so I might just walk back and show you the things in the garage strip. So lots of Tithonia blooming now in the garage strip, some of which died. This area doesn't get as much sun, so it's a little bit sadder. You can see that it really is growing quite a fence. Oh, it's in there. I don't know. It's a lovely velvety stem though. Some of that American Dream Coreopsis, which is a pink, but it's faded to white. So this sunflower, which is just enormous. I mean, it's as big as my hand around. This was planted by a squirrel, and the head just got chopped off before it could even bloom. I'm so sad about it, but it is kind of a garden essential, so we've left it up. Here's some more of those African foxgloves that are getting really big. That one looks like it's over. You can tell I was trying to plant up this area with something that I thought was Tithonia. Some more echinacea. Oh my goodness, and look at this. Now this one's going to be opening quite soon, I would say. Maybe in the next couple days. Although, I don't know, I'm just not as familiar with this purple variety. I'd say something looks a little bit weird about that. Maybe that's how they look. It's kind of, let's see if I can get it. It's kind of mottled. It won't go into focus, but there's another really great mahogany splendor hibiscus. Some more of this datura. So excited about that. Now this poor Tithonia has clearly died. Not sure why, because if you go to the base, it's the same. Get in there. It's the same plant, and the one side is okay, and the other side is dead. So it's a little bit strange. Now this datura, I think, got the brunt of some glyphosate when I was treating the knotweed, so I don't really think that these buds are gonna do very well. It's very sad because it had a lot of buds on it. Maybe it will rebound. There's a little, what's going on here? Oh my, see, we've got some really pesky gophers that are trying to destroy my gardens. But look at this. These are very happy. I'm using some sort of fly of some type. There's another. I think I would grow this again. I just need to remember to start it maybe a little bit earlier. So now we're back to the planters where we started. You can tell I have a little bit of a hole here. I keep trying to plant more marigolds, but they keep getting eaten by groundhogs. There's a sunflower, an ill-fated sunflower. This is one of my velvet queens. Still has a bud in there, but it's just sloping along the dirt. You can tell because it broke or it was eaten. Anyways, that is the garden tour for August 12th. I think these are mostly fun for me. You can see that giant hooker there. Oh my. Mostly fun for me, but maybe in the future will be something of interest or some good information for someone if they're like me and they like to grow things from seed and experiment. Oh my goodness, I would highly recommend getting some Veronica. Look at the bees on this. I'm so excited to have more of this year, this coming year. Lots of little hoverflies. I think that those are beneficial. Hopefully they are. Anyways, I hope that you have a good day in your garden. See you next time.